Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. A few months ago, we played a short scenario entitled Castaway Island. Shortly thereafter, we asked the author, Tyler Hudak, if he would like to run a game for us, and he graciously accepted. Our scenario is called The Seventh Circle. It was written by Matthew Sanderson, and Tyler Hudak will be our game master. This is episode 1. But before we turn the floor over to Tyler, let's introduce our players. Jerry, introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Irene Brownstone, she's 27, parapsychologist.
Okay, Jen.
All right, we're playing Karen Archer. She is a TV journalist, 36. She is one of the only Americans in the crew.
Cool. Sean?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean Little. I'm playing Dave Sterling, the host of the show. You might remember me from back in the 90s when we used to run a video show called Spincasters, but, well, that's where you remember me from.
Thomas?
Hi everyone, my name is William Preston. I'm a line producer on loan out from Entertainment One. The studio's brought me on to look into discrepancies within the budget. So I'm just really here to stay in the shadows, ask some questions, take some notes.
Mick? You are me.
I'm Donald Mackay. I'm a cameraman. I'm 36 years old. And I'm quite looking forward to this episode because I was actually born near here in Leg. So after this, I might go and visit my granny.
Cool. And I will be playing Ianto Moss. I am from Cardiff and in Wales. I'm 28 years old, and I am the producer of the show. And with that, let's turn things over to Tyler. The players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness.
Excellent. So, like you all said, that you are members of a crew of The Other Side, a paranormal investigative show. So since you're the producer, why don't you describe the show a little bit?
Well, it's perhaps one of those rather popular ghost hunting shows. We've traveled around the world looking for places that are haunted, and it's done pretty well so far. I believe we are in our 7th season. And hoping for 3 more at least.
Yes, and it is for that exact reason why you are brought into the Director of Programming's office. We'll say that you're based in London, or the studio is based in London, and all of you are brought into Terrence Stone's office. He's the Director of Programming. You have all interfaced with him before. He is a very steel-faced man who really just cares about ratings and money. Doesn't care about creativity. He doesn't care what you guys do as long as you bring in the audience. And you're not done with the 7th season yet. In fact, you have been trying to get into the Tower of London for your season finale. But there have been budget issues, scheduling issues, and so you're really hoping that Terrence is bringing you here to tell you all that he got the Tower of London and you're good to go, because it's going to be your biggest finale yet.
Oh, of course we've been having issues, and of course he's the reason behind them. What else is new?
Well, we've tried very hard to negotiate. But we'll see what hopefully the news is very good. Keep your fingers crossed.
So very early in the morning, 8, 9 a.m., you're brought into Terrence's office. It's a very large office overlooking the lobby of the building. There, you find him sitting there at this very large modern desk with a touchscreen computer kind of built into the desk. And there are 8 high-backed chairs, executive meeting chairs, kind of placed in a semicircle around his desk. His secretary, Sharon, invites you all in, sits you down, and you immediately notice that there are 2 additional people in the room with you, 2 women whom you don't recognize. One looks to be in her late 40s, nicely dressed. The other one, you can immediately tell just from the way that she's dressed and her demeanor and attitude that she's a lawyer. Terrence invites you to sit down and immediately welcomes you and introduces Audrey Gloss, who is the 40-ish woman, and Valerie Irvine, who is her lawyer. He welcomes you, makes sure you have coffee, and
It's nice in here, isn't
Good
it?
morning.
I've never been
Good to be with
here
you.
before.
I'm sorry, what position is Audrey Gloss, did you say?
you don't know her. You actually don't know either of these women.
Okay.
This is the first time that you're seeing them. As you sit down, Terrence, Mr. Stone, thanks you all for coming. And again, he introduces Audrey and Valerie. And then he starts talking about, we're in our 7th season. We've been doing really well. You guys have been doing really great on the ratings. William's here. It's just a precaution from up above. Nothing you need to worry about. There have just been some glitches in the finances, but it's okay. We think we're good. Unfortunately, because of that, because of these financial glitches, the Tower of London episode is just out of reach. We're not going to be able to do it for the season finale this season.
Told you so.
That was like 3 weeks of
I
negotiation.
figured.
Well, we think that with the budget being the way it is, the Tower of London is unreasonable at best anyways. Isn't that right, sir?
Yes, unfortunately, that is the case. However, I do have good news. Miss Gloss and Miss Irvine here have graciously come to the station and for this show with an opportunity that will make things a lot easier for next season in regards to the Tower of London and a number of other locations that you want to film at. And at this point, he kind of points to Audrey Gloss, and she begins speaking. She starts talking. She's actually a relatively confident woman, you can tell off the bat. And actually, everybody give me a idea roll.
Fail.
Yes, pass.
Made it.
Fail.
It's a hard pass.
So for those of you who made it, there's been this nagging feeling in the back of your head that you know her from somewhere. You know Audrey Gloss from somewhere. And it finally dawns on you that you remember that 6 or 7, maybe 8 years ago, she was in the news because her husband, Nathan Gloss, who was a famous architect, went missing. You don't quite remember the details surrounding it, but you know that she was involved in that. They were in a divorce or something like that when he went missing, and so that there's all this speculation. But that's where you know her from. But Audrey begins speaking and basically says that some of you may know me. You may know me from my husband Nathan, who disappeared almost exactly 8 years ago now.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Yes, it was a horrible time.
Oh, that you jog my memory.
Sorry.
I said, now that you've jogged my memory, I do remember you.
Yeah. It was in all the papers. You know how papers can blow things out of proportion. It's a time in my life that I'm trying to put behind me, and that is part of the reason why I'm here. You see, I have a house on the market that I'm trying to sell. And I came up with the idea, and my lawyer here, Miss Irvine, agrees with me that because the house is in a very unique location, that it would be beneficial if we got some advertising of it. And because it's in this unique location, it is uniquely suited for your show. She says, let me explain a little bit. She says, have you ever heard of the island Aileen Moor? It's
it's in Scotland.
Can't say I have.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know it.
It's west of Scotland. It's a fairly small island that my husband Nathan took an interest in a number of years ago when he was hired to build a house on there. And through the finances and the way that it went, it was in Nathan's name when he disappeared. And so, unfortunately, because we were in the midst of a divorce then, we couldn't do anything with the house until now because as of last week, he has been declared dead in absentia. He's been gone for 8 years, which is what the law requires. However, we're trying to sell this house. And as you can imagine, being in such a unique location that the house does not get a lot of buyers, especially for the price that it is. So what we've done is we would like you to investigate the house. The island is reputed to be haunted. There are many different legends surrounding it, especially in regards to the lighthouse on there, which I don't know the exact details, but I believe some people went missing in the early 1900s. I'm not sure. I'm sure you guys will know more about that from me, but we have secured permission for you to investigate the lighthouse, to make it look like you're investigating the lighthouse and not being a blatant advertisement for the house.
I would think that if you're trying to sell the house, the publicity of it being haunted may hinder some people and help some others, but
Might make me want to buy it.
Yeah, she says, what I've been told by many realtors is that any publicity is good publicity, especially when we're trying to sell a house such as this. And really, and at this point, Stone speaks up and he says, really, you wouldn't be investigating the house per se. You'd be investigating the lighthouse, which was the source of the disappearances early on in the 1900s. But we want you to, make sure that you get shots of the house. You can go in it. Audrey here has the keys for the house for you to go in, and you can, just make sure you get shots of it and inside, and do what you guys do best. Make it look like it's haunted. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your jobs, or I'm not trying to mess with your integrity of the show. But come on, let's face it. We all know that there are some camera tricks that we pull. Ianto, remember in Boston?
Yes, of course.
Karen.
Yes, we can
And
always.
of course.
As long as the information doesn't leave this room.
Of course not. Absolutely.
I'm curious. Is there a town nearby? Will we be staying at the house, or will we be staying elsewhere?
No, yeah. The house hasn't been lived in at least 8 years. So Audrey says that I would not recommend staying there. We've set you up at a place just on the coast, about 20 miles away, called Stornoway. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Carloway.
All right. Well, what I would be interested in is possibly getting your take on this. It was Aubrey, correct? Audrey,
Yes.
Maybe we could do a little bit of an interview inside the house proper and get some shots of the inside and outside of the house that way.
She says, absolutely. I won't be accompanying you. I have the keys here for you to go in. Honestly, I really don't want to go there. It reminds me too much of my husband, and the anger and the feelings from the divorce keep bubbling up. I just want to get rid of it. I'm basically giving you all a carte blanche to do whatever you want within reason at the house. Obviously, no destruction can take place at the house because we obviously want to sell it. But
Of course.
Right.
I think that you can rest assured that we will do our best to help as much as we can. And it should be quite interesting because your house should at this point be completely filled with dust and cobwebs, we won't have to import them from abroad.
Yes, it'll look quite eerie, quite frightening.
Plus, a lovely old lighthouse is always a very large creep factor. Yes, I believe I should start working on the budget immediately.
She, Audrey, just kind of smiles and thanks you. And at this point, Terrence stands up and says, "Well, I don't want to keep Miss Irvine and Miss Glass too long. I believe we have all the information that we have. And ladies, we will be in contact with you once we are done with the show." And they begin to walk out unless anybody wants to stop them quickly.
Before you leave, Callaway, is it a large town or a very small one?
It's fairly small. I wouldn't say it's a huge town. It's a nice, Scottish village on the sea.
Well, we're going to have to find a place where we can do a lot of research.
That has already been taken care of. Terrence tells you that you've actually already been booked into the Great Northwestern Hotel there, and that was actually the last place that Nathan Gloss stayed at before he went over to the island.
I see. But actually, I was speaking of research. We're going to be able to do a bit of research before we put together our show. Do you know what the nearest large library would be?
She says, "Unfortunately, I don't. I know that." She says, "I want to say that one of the men who work at the Great Northwestern Hotel, his name escapes me, but he's the bartender there. He's actually a popular author of folklore.
Excellent.
Says that he should be able to give you information." She says, "Other than that, I apologize. It's been almost 10 years since I've been there."
Excellent.
Interesting. We're definitely going to need to talk with him then. Get some footage of him explaining some of the local legends of the island.
Get as much background material as we can possibly get.
Oh yes, of course, and some good footage as well.
Does the town have Wi-Fi? Does the lodgings that the crew will be staying in have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I need to know that.
Yes, I believe that they do. You should have no problem getting hooked up for what you need.
Perfect. And I write that down.
Mr. Preston, have you ever been to northern Scotland?
Says, "No, I haven't."
Oh, I think he was talking to
I was talking to.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I've done many shoots in southern Canada, northern Washington, Colorado. I'm quite familiar with roughing it. And I smile. I say, "But like I said, my job is mainly just to oversee. Isn't that right, sir?" And I look to the director.
Well, please don't be too disappointed if they don't have Wi-Fi. But with any luck.
And I just keep smiling at you, but I'm writing as I'm looking.
I just kind of look him over, and I can kind of feel the tension that is between him and Ianto at this point. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, okay, yeah, this is either going to end in a complete breakdown or one of those two getting together with each other. There's only two ways this can end.
Getting together.
With that,
Of course, this is all in
with that, Valerie Irvine, the lawyer, just kind of looks at her watch and says, "Well, if you'll excuse us all, we have other appointments that we need to sign."
It was very nice to meet you.
So, you as well. Valerie says, "If you do need anything legally, I will be in town for the next day. Mr. Stone here knows how to contact me." Excellent.
All right, thank you.
And as they walk out, Terrence kind of waits for them to leave and shut the door. Then he sits back down and he says, "I know this is a little bit unusual for the way that we go about things. We typically have let you all pick where you want to go." But he says, "But let me put it like this. Miss Glass, in exchange for allowing us to, or basically giving her free advertising for her house, is giving us a percentage of the sale, of the profits of the sale. And the house, the asking price is 1.5 million pounds. So if it goes for at least that, we will have enough to fund the Tower of London episodes as well as a number of others for next season. Probably even the season after that."
Personally, it sounds to me like we will be able to put on a rather nice show there. However, I doubt seriously that anybody's going to want to move that far north in Scotland and live in what might amount to being all by oneself. Only crazy people do things like that.
And crazy people have money.
Well, it depends. It depends. I mean, you do have your occasional, I don't know, some big wig up in his ivory tower or something who wants to move out someplace that secluded, or somebody who likes their privacy.
Well, secluded is one thing, but without modern amenities.
Well, they could surely get those installed.
The fact that, as I say, only a crazy person would live out there might be exactly what sells the place.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
How are we going? Are we driving, or are we taking the train, or flying?
Tell me it's not a bus.
Yes, we're not going to take a bus.
Oh God, not buses! I will
He says-
never do a bus again.
No, fortunately, we were able to get you on a flight that will drop you off in Stornoway, which is on the east side of Scotland, and it's just a short drive from Stornoway to Carloway. We're having you go to Stornoway because the builder of the house is there, and you may want to interview him. I don't know. That's where the planes go, and so you have a rental car from there to Carloway, and then from Carloway it is really up to you how you want to get to the island. We have the funds to rent a boat for you, which is probably going to be the easiest way.
So her husband was the architect.
Yes.
But the man who builds the home is in Stornoway.
Yes.
And she's loaded and single now.
Yes. As a matter of fact, as of last week, yes, she is.
You know,
a little more than her being loaded and single. I think maybe she's maybe she's been dating the engineer or whoever built the place on the side. You never know.
You never know.
Now that she's left the room, I find it difficult to remember exactly what she looks like. Perhaps we could try to remember. Was she attractive? Was she?
Oh, yeah.
She has a very forgettable face.
Yeah, she was quite attractive.
That's why she does not work in our job.
Sorry, sometimes I find it difficult to know whether the lady folk are in fact attractive or not. This is a personal problem.
I'm going to take this kind of lull in the conversation to stand up and say, well, Mr. Stone, if I'm no longer needed, I'll be getting started on those location waivers and, of course, overlooking the budget that Mr. Moss produces. And I smile.
All the exciting stuff.
I look forward to your assistance.
Well, thank you. Just so you know, Mr. Moss, grip trucks and generators have already been provided, so they'll be on site when we land.
Excellent. Thank you.
I nod and I smile at Mr. Stone and I leave the room.
What about catering? I don't know what the food's like up there. So
Oh
like
yeah,
bean-
good question. Who is
Probably-
catering?
Probably sheep-based.
sheep, beans on toast, tea. We need other stuff.
What are sheep beans?
No,
Probably-
sheep or beans.
They'll have hula hoops on.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. I need more coffee, and I pour myself more coffee.
Sheep beans.
Don't
Sounds
laugh.
like a
Okay,
euphemism.
at least I wasn't the one who got startled by a rat and started screaming about Brown Jenkins when it was a rat like this big.
It was a brilliant move. Sorry. Terence, where are we leaving?
You will be leaving in 2 days. So you have that amount of time to get whatever equipment you need, any research you need to do in town, and then head off.
Yes, we
Alright.
should probably research the architect.
Yeah, I agree. We should be sure the architect, the town, and the island of Eileen Moore.
See what else that the architect has built, what his style is. Oh, no, wait. The architect didn't actually build the lighthouse. We need to find out more about the lighthouse.
Yeah, we do need to look into the lighthouse.
I can tell you about the lighthouse.
Have you been there?
I've
Yeah,
never
explain,
been there,
Donnie.
but everyone up there knows about the lighthouse. It's famous.
Ah,
Well, I don't know the whole story, but all I know is that they all disappeared, and they left half-eaten meals, and the whole place was running like they just disappeared.
yes, but isn't it quite common for if people were to go outside during a storm, that they would just suddenly be swept away?
That's what they say. They say they went out to rescue a boat or something and got washed off, or went to fix a jetty or something and got washed off. Was another thing I heard.
Couldn't possibly be an easier, a very safe life.
I know when I was a kid, they based an episode of Doctor Who on it.
I remember that.
That's
That
why
was
we
a
all knew.
great
That's why we all knew about it at school.
Interesting.
At school,
I saw that one with those Baruton things.
Yeah, the big green
brain
Yeah.
thing, yes.
Yeah.
green hanger.
Chase them up
You
the
don't
stairs.
suppose that's where Miss Glass's husband disappeared at, was in the lighthouse proper, do you?
Can't see them being in a lighthouse these days. They're all automated, I think.
So for those of you who made your idea rolls, you kind of remember that he, along with a number of others, were heading back from the island, and there was a boat accident or something like that. At least that's what was reported.
Mm.
You just barely remember this.
You know, we should find this place on the map. Take a look at it.
Good idea.
I believe I have my
We'll do
iPad.
that while we're researching it.
Oh my God, it really is remote.
Oh, it's just there. That wee dot just out to the west of Harris.
It's all the way out
Barely
in
see it.
bumfuck nowhere, basically.
I haven't looked outside lately. What's the weather like? What time of year is it?
What time of year do you want it to be?
Summer.
Okay.
Mick,
gonna say fall
Mick,
from
what
the
time of year do we
but-
want it to be?
Yeah, you want it to be summer. Yeah. You don't want to come over here in the winter.
For those of you
That'd
who
be
don't,
insane.
So you can kind of see where the Isle of Lewis is in the upper left, and then the Elaine Moore is in the Flannan Islands, which is about 20 miles or so west of Carloway, and it's one of a group of 7 islands.
and it's on Flann. There's a group of islands, and one of them is
Yes.
Eileen Moore.
Yes.
I see. So it's like a little key or like a little archipelago up there.
Yes. It's the island is the largest of the 7 there, but even with that, it's probably about 30 acres large. So not a very big
So-
island.
Tiny.
Yes.
Interesting.
I see it's there at the top. Yes. I
All right.
noticed. See, I'm not familiar with. Oh, great! I have to admit that I'm not familiar with Gaelic. Eileen seems to be something that you hit. All those little islands started with Eileen. Is that maybe island?
It probably does mean island.
Someday we'll know.
That is a good
Someday, but
question.
not today, Yanto.
That is a good question that the keeper will look up at some point.
Well,
Really?
Terence, we've taken up enough of your time. Let's get started on this thing.
He says, yes, you've got, what your budgetary constraints are. The more that we keep this in budget, the better, especially going forward.
I must tell you, I'm not exactly pleased that Mr. Preston is here. It's difficult enough to do my job without having somebody looking over my shoulder. It makes it more difficult for me to do my job efficiently.
Just think of him as an assistant who's just monitoring everything that you're doing. You have nothing to worry about.
Perhaps I should treat him like an assistant.
Well, if he's going to be the assistant, maybe he could be the person who keeps our coffee topped up, huh?
Oh.
Or on the island. What about it, William? I have a French press you can borrow. Coffee boy.
Oh, William's not here. He left.
No, I'm not here. But if we're in Britain, it's union rules. I can't touch coffee. That's a PA's job.
Yes, I have to have a PA.
He can be the unofficial PA. He can pull some strings.
Well, we'll toss that in. We'll see. Anyways, let's go.
Am I going to have a sound man for this, or am I doing that again?
Everybody who's here is who's going, plus William.
Oh, great. So no sound man again. Great. I'm
Guess
going
you're gonna have to do all the Foley work.
I'm going on to my union rep about that. That's no good. Pay for one job. I mean,
Right. So off to do the research.
Donald, we'll make sure that you're adequately compensated.
right, you were.
We'll make sure William gives you an extra cup of coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so you have 2 days to gather the equipment that you'll need and do whatever research you want before you head off to Stornoway.
And I'm not exactly a researcher, so I have to put together the budget.
Okay.
I'll end up researching. I've done it before. I'll do it again. It's my job.
I can research. I've got really good library.
Yeah, I have to imagine that on a show, even though you've been going for so long, this is pretty much your crew, so everybody kind of pitches out or pitches in where they can to make the show better.
Right. Irene, you're going to be coming with me. We'll do research then.
Okay.
It's only going to take me half a day to put together the budget. I'm quite efficient. And if anybody asks, I'm quite efficient, please.
Okay, so
All right.
Karen and Irene, we'll start with you guys. You go off and you start doing research. What specifically are you going to look into?
The lighthouse.
Yeah, I agree. The lighthouse first.
Okay, so you start. How do you typically go and do your research?
Well,
Well,
I'd assume normally we would go online, do some library work, see if we can dig up anything in the newspapers.
actually, this being a lighthouse, it has to be run by somebody. Typically, it's a state agency that runs the lighthouses.
So give me go ahead and give me a library use roll then.
Oh yeah, easy.
Oh yeah, same.
So yeah, you do find out that the lighthouse was built in the late 1890s, It was the first. It was originally put there because the islands around there are so dangerous that there were a lot of shipwrecks, and because of that, the lighthouse was needed. Originally, it was staffed by 3 people at a time that would go for 4-week shifts and then be moved off. The lighthouse is now fully automated. It's been fully automated since the 80s. It was actually one of the last lighthouses that was fully automated in the British Isles. With that, though, as you continue to do research, you do find out about the disappearances that occurred. And in fact,
Strange affair at a lighthouse. 3 keepers disappear. Intimation has been received at the Northern Lighthouse Board, Edinburgh, of the loss of the lighthouse staff at the Flannan Islands lighthouse. The station was established in December last year and was staffed by 4 men, 3 taking duty and the other having relief. When the board's steamer yesterday went to the islands to land the retrieving keeper, it was found that the 3 men last on duty had disappeared, leaving no trace. They are the principal keeper and Thomas Marshall and Donald MacArthur. The latter was an occasional keeper on duty in place of a sick member of the regular staff. It is surmised that they were swept away during the storm of last week, either when attempting to save a crane or when trying to render assistance to some vessel in distress. The relieving keeper and 3 other men have been temporarily left on the island, and no such incident has ever happened in the history of the Lighthouse Board, and it is provident that it did not result in a disaster to any passing vessel. And then it explains what the Flannan Islands are. I'm having trouble reading that last bit, it's a little smudged.
It says the Flannan Islands are a group of 7 isles 17 miles west of Lewis in the Hebrides.
Okay.
And with that, it's actually quite easy to find a lot of the folklore about the lighthouse. With the keepers disappearing, like Donald kind of said, there are a lot of legends around it, some true, some not. It's really hard to tell which is which, but some of the folklore is that they were the doors to the lighthouse were locked, and although nobody was inside, there were half-eaten meals that had been prepared, chairs knocked over, and so on. And so it's a lot of the rumors around that are, some people think that they just got swept away by a storm because there was a really bad storm going on for those days. Others believe that there were ghosts. Supposedly there is a Viking ship that has been seen sailing the waters there, and those who see it say that they see 3 men in oil-skinned slicks on the Viking ship rowing it as well. And others believe that there is a race of little people that live on the island, and that if you don't follow the rules of the little people, that those who don't will disappear. And some people think that that's what happened to the 3 men in the lighthouse.
Interesting. So when they say little people, they mean like fae, right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, give me you should give me an occult roll.
Ooh. Oh yeah, hard.
Made it.
Okay, so you do remember hearing about this, and the fae, or the little people who supposedly live on the island, the surrounding the people who live in the surrounding areas on the coast will, if they do go there, they actually will speak in a different dialect in order to please the little people who are there. So it's not a new superstition or folklore. It's been around for hundreds of years.
Interesting.
Okay, so Donald and Dave, while they're researching this, what are you guys going to do?
I'm just packing my bag and sorting out my equipment. for the trip. I'm not going to do any of the research because I'm really annoyed that they haven't supplied me with a Salman.
So what kind of equipment would you normally be packing?
Well, I'll take the Steadicam. You're always all right with the Steadicam. I mean, it's a bit heavy. But
any specific type of lights or anything like that for shots?
Just the usual, the standard. We'll probably do some infrared stuff. I mean, we're primarily set up for night work, really, as usual.
Okay.
I'm not going to be taking a boom. We'll have to do it all on clip mics and handheld mics because I'm not carrying a boom about, not with my back.
And Dave, what about you? What is the host doing?
Well, my library skills are, for someone who's as interested as I am in this kind of thing, my library skills are terrible. So at most, I'm going to look, other than packing my bags and preparing my things and looking up the firearms laws of Scotland and flights and such, and the inability to get my friendly little protector over there, I'm going to probably just look at my grandfather's old books, because he was an investigator, and see if he has anything in the general vicinity of northern Scotland of interest that he took a look at or was interested in case I wanted to do a little side poking around while I'm there. Generally, that's it.
All right, go ahead and give me a cultural then.
That's a fail.
Okay, so you don't find anything more than Karen and Irene found. You pretty much find the same information. It's pretty much common folklore. But you're the show host. You are even a minor celebrity, at least in your mind. I'm sure that you're much higher than B-list celebrities. But because you are a celebrity. Let's face it. You kind of go around in those circles. And so you think you may be able to reach out to some of your upper class friends. Because you think you may have some friends in common between you and Audrey Glass that maybe you can get some information on.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I was wondering, like, did she move in circles? Like, well, he was the architect, he was the doer of things. What she must have been doing things outside of that. So, like, on her own, I don't know whether she had a career of her own or whether she was like philanthropist or something like that. So maybe that's an avenue of investigation for me.
Okay. Well, Tara, give me a luck roll.
Luck roll. Oh, where's my luck? Where's my luck on my sheet? Darn it. That's a pass. Yeah, good pass.
All right. So you remember that you have a friend by the name of Paul Kramer, and Paul is. You remember at some point in the past that he name dropped that he knew Audrey and Nathan. And so you think you could give him a call and just kind of bounce some questions off him, maybe get some inside dirt on the pair or anything that was going on at the time, because you weren't over here at the time, really. So this all happened after you kind of met everyone.
No. Okay. Well, definitely I'll ring him up as best. See, hopefully he's around.
Okay. So you give him a call. I'm not going to try to do British accent.
No. All right.
Have a listening audience that I'm sure would cringe at. But Paul answers, says, Dave, I haven't heard from you in forever. How's it going?
Pretty good. The show's, we're getting close to the end of the season, looking towards next season. We got a little sidetracked, and we're heading over to northern Scotland. And that guy, the architect guy that disappeared. Nathan Gloss.
Yeah. I actually saw his I guess now ex-wife a couple days ago at a party.
Yeah, we're going to at a party. That's interesting. How long ago was that he disappeared?
He disappeared. Wow, it's been 8 years now. It has to have been 8 years because he was just declared dead, officially missing and dead.
Did she seem like she was celebrating? God.
She was. she's you weren't around here for this, but they had a really nasty divorce. And I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but the rumors were that at the end of their marriage, he was trying to hide and kind of siphon money from her.
Get out. That's interesting.
Yeah, in fact, there were rumors that he'd gotten hired to build some type of house or something like that. Trying to remember who hired him. The guy's name, I think, was Patrick Raleigh. Yeah, that's what was his name, Patrick Raleigh. He had hired Nathan to build the house, but they made some arrangement where Nathan had to pay for everything up front, and then once the house was built, Patrick would pay him for it.
Okay, yeah.
Nathan, I remember him telling me one time that he loved this arrangement because it meant that Audrey would not get any of the money. When they went through the divorce, it would look like he was broke because he had to put so much money into the house. Unfortunately, they disappeared before the money could make the transfer. It was a really bad divorce.
That's definitely interesting. And I have to take a look into that a little more because we're going to take a look at her. She's trying to sell her house.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do a show in the area. She seems to think the publicity, whether good or bad, will help sell the house because she must be having a little bit of trouble getting it off the market.
Yeah, I have to imagine that that would be a hard thing to sell, being all the way out on the Isles out there. But it sounds like fun. I'm kind of jealous you get to go do this and get paid, and I'm sure you're getting all the ladies when you get back. You have to come if you'll be back. Next week we're having a big party. You'll have to come over.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, send me the details. We'll try to hook up with you.
All right. I'll talk to you later then.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right. Bye. So he gives you that information. Some of this, you kind of remember reading about in various papers, but definitely not. All the details weren't in the papers.
Okay. Well, I'll do a little bit of internet poking around, see if I can find out any more about the divorce and any rumors and that kind of thing that I might have forgotten or I might not have got from him, and I'll sort of compile that for telling everyone else when I see them.
Okay. Give me. Go ahead and give me a library use roll. Let's see, or computer use, whichever is higher for you.
Okay. Well, honestly, I'm at base for everything. Base for both. Yeah. So I fail on that. And let's try computer, fail. Yeah. So I'm really a schmoozer more, not a doer.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you don't find anything more.
Okay.
So going back to William and Ianto, you guys are able, to do your respective tasks, getting the budget together, doing whatever you had decided that you were putting together before you left.
Yes.
And it only takes you a couple hours to do. So while the others are kind of off doing their thing, getting everything together, you two are free to do what you wish.
Mr. Preston, would you like to take a look at this budget?
Yes, and I kind of lean across the table and I take it with one finger and I drag it to me. I begin going over it and plugging in the numbers into like an Excel spreadsheet. And I say, so you've lived here all your life, or
no? Actually, I'm from Cardiff, in Wales. But to be quite honest, I've spent the last 20 years traveling. Wait, how old am I? Yeah, I started when I was 8. I've spent the last 10 years traveling all over the country doing this sort of thing, mostly for this company. But as you can see, my accent is kind of all over the place at this point.
I shrug And I say, it's fine. But I look at you and I say, and I nod and say, you're 28. That's impressive. You're one of the top producers for a television show of a, and I kind of tilt my head. Smaller network.
You're too kind. Yes, well, one must start in some place and work one's way up.
If everything checks out with this, I don't really like to eat at this time. I really only eat after about 11 o'clock, and I only so I eat dinner at 11 o'clock, and then I eat breakfast at 6 a.m.
So you eat late. We have a very nice place, an Italian place. It's called Sir Maestro's. But if you're not feeling up to eating, I can understand that.
Personally, and I tap the screen and I say, we're focused on this. We got to make sure that, and I don't so much glare, but I kind of squint my eyes and I say, Mr. Donald's your only cinematographer. That's correct.
At present, that is correct.
No audio?
Yes.
And I nod and I jot something down. And I say, all right. Well, if you need to leave, I completely understand. I kind of smile, but this is a more pressing matter.
Well, I'm not in any rush. If you have any questions about the budget, please do not hesitate to ask.
I'm more interested about the show. You see, I've done my fair share with Eve 1, and Mary Mary mainly, Hell's on Wheels a little bit. But what is... I'm not familiar with British reality, so kind of walk me through the process, if you will.
Well, it's not much different than your American reality shows. The people living in Great Britain have a long tradition of ghosts and hauntings and things of that nature. You'd almost say that it's ingrained into our personalities. So these shows are quite popular. They're a bit different in the fact that they don't usually consist of people walking around saying, "Oh, did you hear that?" That doesn't happen as much. We're interested in the history. And if something happens, or if something is considered creepy, that tends to impact far more powerfully than jump scares and things like that. But of course, the occasional mouse or rat produces an effect.
Yes, we've had a few incidents involving not just animals, but thinking we've seen things in the dark.
Where is that voice coming from?
I jump immediately because I had no idea there was another human being in this room.
I thought we are alone. I didn't think you had a woman in here.
I smile and say, I guess we're not alone. But let's also talk about Mr. And I kind of flip through a notepad and I say, Mr. Sterling, he's the showrunner? He's the show host? What does he do? Is he talent?
He's the host. He's the face, the pretty face, that and the very good speaking voice. He reads his lines, basically. And occasionally we get a rather entertaining reaction out of him. But between you and me, he's not exactly a researcher, if you will. We have other people to do that. I would say Irene and Karen are far more competent in that area than he is. But we need somebody to read the lines.
And I lean in and I smile and say, and so Karen and Irene are, of course, researchers assisting you. But tell me, what do you do? Why has this, and I shrug, wannabe BBC called me in to go over this? You're young, I get that, but
honestly, I'm not exactly sure why. Except that those who pay for everything are always a little nervous about how their money is spent. My job is to plan ahead, to make sure that all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and everything is paid for on time, that all the legal forms are filled out, and that everything works smoothly.
I nod, and I say, well, I'm sure that the company would be just heartbroken if they lost you. I smile. I say, but like I said, pressing matters, and I point back to the screen.
What is necessary in such a position is experience, my dear.
Well, I mean, for me, it's knowing the numbers, knowing the legal terms, knowing the fees, knowing everything. In fact, I got my start not as a producer, but as an editor. I was an editor, an assistant editor with AMC. And then I did a little bit of work over at AMS, and then I got into distribution. Then through Entertainment Network's distribution line, I moved on to television, which is where I am now. I'm actually, and I look around the room and I lean forward and I say, I want you to understand something. I'm not here to take over your job. I understand that that's a thing. We both understand that. And I smile as pleasantly as I can. I'm a producer, after all.
If I have in any way seemed to show you animosity of some sort, I apologize. I would like very much to work with you on all of this. There's this particular project. It's a rather unusual project. Usually we choose our own projects through research first. But I don't feel in any way threatened by you, sir.
And with that, Ianto, your cell phone rings.
Oh, my cell phone. Thank God I have an up-to-date cell phone. Yes, this is Ianto.
And on the other end is Karen.
Hello, Karen.
Yes, hello. Hi. I wanted to explain some of the information we found that Irene and I found, and I fill them in on the information that we found, the folklore and all that.
Oh, that's very interesting. It should make a very good show.
Mm-hmm. All right. Was there anything else you wanted us specifically to research?
I don't know. I haven't heard much at all from David. Perhaps you should get in touch with him and see if you can coordinate your efforts to research. I'm here now with Mr. Preston. We're going over the budget.
Okay, so you're getting things hashed out on that end?
Yes, I think they're pretty much hashed out, as you say.
All right.
Do you want to meet for lunch at Semaistro's?
Oh yeah, it sounds delicious. I haven't been there in years.
Really? Let's meet that in an hour and a half.
All right. You know, are we gonna invite the entire crew out for lunch then, or is it just?
Well, yes, of course. Invite whoever you want. Like, I don't think Mr. Preston's going to join us. He doesn't eat except in the early morning and the late evenings. Interesting schedule, but he's a workaholic, I believe. Trying to impress somebody, I imagine.
Understandable. All right, well, I'll let Irene know. You should probably let the others get in touch with the others about that, and I will meet you for lunch in, let's say, maybe 30 minutes.
No, about an hour and a half. We still have some work to do.
Okay, all right.
That should be right about noon. Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep, not a problem. See you later.
All right, so you're able to easily get a hold of everybody, and we'll just kind of skip forward a little bit. You all meet up at lunch, order, except for William. I mean, William, are you gonna be there?
No, I think I'd be going over maybe the schedule and at least coordinating the equipment, because we're going to an island. There's not going to be a rental house out there.
Okay.
Yes. It takes him a while to figure out what the budget actually looks like.
So everybody except for William is there at lunch. You order and
Meatball subs.
Yeah, all right, so it's that kind of place. So it's you get these great meatball subs delivered to you, and you all just start talking about everything that you learned during your the research that you've done so far. Without listening in, and every once in a while, kind of mentioning, well, now we're going to need this. Now we're going to need this piece of equipment. How do you expect me to carry all of this?
If we have to, I'll muck in and I'll help you out a bit. But come on, Vikings. We could do a whole thing on the Vikings.
Oh yeah, interesting. I'm not averse to carrying things. I pretty much carry the whole show anyway.
Can't we get porters in Scotland? Like, don't they have them to help you up the mountains and stuff?
Those cost a lot of money, you see.
Ask some college kids.
We
They'll be away at college.
We could see if we could rope in a few interns. I always like the idea I always like the idea of getting people to work for me for free, as if that actually goes somewhere. David, please.
Yes.
Only a 6-inch sub. You don't want to put on a lot of weight.
No. Got him. I hear they're good. All right.
Very good. You've never eaten here at Maestro's before.
I might be recognized with you guys here. It's okay.
I thought they had these in the United States.
They do.
Well, they do. I just haven't been in a few years.
Nope. I'll just get a small.
I'll
salad.
Chinese.
From what I understand, the meatballs are like big as your head.
You forgot
Huge.
to go meat.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Have you seen our portions over in the States? Really?
So as you're eating lunch, and as the meatball subs come, Dave at some point starts talking about the conversation that he had with his friend, and when he drops the name Patrick Raleigh, Karen and Irene, at least, the name immediately kind of comes to mind, or rings a bell. And you remember him as being a travel author. But the reason that he kind of sticks out with you is that he kind of rose to fame because he wasn't just going around documenting, how, to go to, Paris on $10 a day. He was actually going and documenting just very odd cultures and esoteric practices from around the world. And
So
some of the stuff
read a few of his books.
Yes, and some of the stuff that you've read of his definitely hints at some occult research that he was doing, or at least delving into that area. He never actually came out and said that that's what he was doing, but you kind of got the feeling that he was hinting at that.
So I assume I bring this up if nobody else does.
Well, I assume you're all taking notes.
Of course.
Don't expect
my
me to
meatballs on
remember
one hand
any
and
of this
notes on the
because I'm quite honestly completely uninterested in this.
We know. Thinking is hard for you, Ianto.
It's not that. It's thinking about things that are important, my dear.
I see. And I suppose your meatball sub is more important.
No, the budget is more important, and Mr. William Preston is quite vexing to me at the moment.
We get it. You two are an item.
No,
Shake
I have a
his head.
feeling that they are assessing us to decide whether to cancel our show.
What?
Oh, probably.
Why
Don't be
else would he be
surprised.
here?
If they're going to test us, why do they send us to north of Scotland? They should send us to someplace else like Florida or something.
Well, I'm not so sure they're testing us. They're hoping that we will pull off a
Oh.
highly successful show, but My friends, considering that he's a line producer and he's here to check the budgets, a few harsh words from him and I will be out on my ear, and you'll have to deal with him as your new producer. So your choice is either to kiss up to him now, which I would suggest you do, or you can side with me and you'll all be out of a job. I'm quite
Fiverr.
I'm quite resolved in that that's probably what will end up happening. And if it doesn't, I shall be very lucky.
What exactly is he going to do? Fire me and find another journalist?
That's always possible.
I am one of the best at what I do in this field of research.
And you are
You
extremely
know that.
attractive,
I know that.
which helps a great deal.
Oh, exactly.
I doubt seriously that they will fire any of the three most attractive people on our team.
Of course. So it's how it is, isn't it?
In any case, I think that I've worked out the budget quite well. And you seem to be well on your way to your research.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, with that, when he mentions research, you start, actually all of you who are there start thinking about, possibly anything else that you think you'd need to look into a bit farther.
Is perhaps I can make a suggestion. This Mr. Raleigh, is he still alive? Have you checked that out to see?
Question. No, I haven't thought of that.
And why didn't he take possession of the house?
And where is it located too? Like, is it right near where we're going?
I believe it is the house that we're going. It's the one that.
Same house? I'm getting confused.
Correct. Yeah. The house is actually on the island.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Do we know if there's a
Right.
generator at the house? Because I'm going to need battery packs. And
Yes, I believe that all that's been taken care of. In fact, I was looking at a list, in part supplied by Mr. Preston. There's AR lights, battery-powered LEDs, LAV mics. I'm not sure what any of this means, This is your purview.
And that's what you're bringing. You haven't really looked into the actual house yet.
Yeah, we
Yes.
should be looking into that house, shouldn't we?
Well, I think that we can't look into it until we're there.
Well, I meant the history of the house, Ianto.
I'm not sure exactly what you're going to be able to find out all the way over here. But look into the companies. Look into the architect.
Give me an idea.
Right. Oh yeah, I rolled a 2 on that.
I got an
I think I probably have an
83. I
idea.
didn't.
So since Nathan Gloss was the architect, he would have had to file blueprints with the Royal Institute of British Architects.
Good point. So I bring this up. I'm like, well, maybe we should look into the blueprints of the house. We might be able to find information there.
Well, yes, certainly. You should also be able to get blueprints of the lighthouse.
The lighthouse as
think.
well.
And maps, topographical maps, perhaps. Whatever else you need.
Okay.
Please don't spend a great deal of money doing it, but find what you need.
All right.
If you can print it out from the internet, then that is the best course of action.
Right.
And of course, find out about the little people, whatever they are, the leprechauns or the fae, as you call them.
Roonies.
Roonies.
Brunies. Aye.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. I jot all this down.
All right. So with that, the lunch ends, or shortly after lunch ends, and you all go about doing your various tasks. What is Karen specifically going to research?
Well, I'm going to try and get my hands on any information involving this Raleigh guy and maybe these little people first before I do anything involving the blueprints of the island. I mean, that's going to take more time. This is going to be a little bit quicker.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a library use roll then.
Just barely.
Okay. So you start searching around for Patrick Raleigh's name. Fortunately, it's pretty easy to find things out about him because he was so famous. He was a travel writer, like I said, who documented cultures from around the world. He got very famous and rich doing this. And at one point, he was even quoted as saying that he really wanted to enlighten the masses as to the true nature of the world that exists just beyond our grasp. After some digging, though, you're able to find an interesting photo. It's a picture of Raleigh as well as Glass at the opening of one of Glass's houses. They're standing next to each other, looking like they're talking, which you find, a little bit unusual. They both look at that point in time, so that photo is probably about 10 years old. They look like they're in their 40s. Both handsome men there. As for the little people, you don't really find too much else out about them. It's not really well documented outside of rumors and that, but you do find that they're known for being very solitary on the island. They want to be left alone, and because of that, people who go there kind of tend to disappear if they stay on the island for too long. So as you're going and doing that, Irene, what would you be looking for?
I'd actually like to see if I could find some blueprints of the house. If this guy was into the occult, maybe the house has some kind of something that's occult based.
Sure. So give me a library use roll for that. We'll see how much you're able to find.
Oh yeah, like 01.
Oh, all right. So you are easily able to find the plans for the house.
The house is round?
Yes. So the house is actually composed of, it's a round house, and according to the blueprints here, it's composed of concentric, the rooms are concentric circles inside. The house itself is, let me see here. The house itself is about 160 feet wide, or 49 meters, and the rooms of the house, according to the architectural blueprints, show that the first floor, it's made of 2 floors. The first floor is actually quite large, where it's 60 feet tall, so very huge rooms on the inside, whereas the second floor is only about 20 feet tall. And according to what you see on a construction list that's attached to this, that inside the outer walls of the structure, and the entire structure is powered by a wind turbine generator on the roof, because it is extremely windy on the island, and so the generator provides a lot of different, or a lot of the power for it, that very unusually is a wire mesh on the inside of the building that essentially turns the entire house into a Faraday cage where no signals can get in or out. And because you rolled so well, I won't even make you do a cult roll, because you look at this and you immediately recognize the design of the rooms. The concentric circles that it's showing is a design in what's called the Egg of Life, which is a pattern that's used to help harness, typically used to help harness essentially occult energies or to kind of focus them, which you find a little bit unusual within an architectural design for a house.
Well, they were obviously up to some form of magic out there.
But that's what you find. Obviously, you'll be able to share this with everybody.
I'll pass it along.
The one thing that I'll note is on the blueprints, it shows that according to the blueprints that you have there, you can see that there are stairs that go up on the inside, and it appears that the inside is actually just like a solid structure. There's no room on the inside. So inside those stairs, according to the blueprints, it's either a walled off area or just a solid structure, not an actual room.
Okay.
Okay. And then going to Dave, what are you going to be doing?
Well, everybody's doing the research. I've got my things packed. I've done my little bit of preparation that I have to do. I mean, I'm ready to go as it is. Am I with everyone right now, or are we split up after the restaurant, I guess?
Yeah, you've kind of split up.
Yeah. Honestly, it's my research skills are terrible. I'll admit that. I mean, I'm great at talking to people and getting information out of people. I'm great at that. So I'll try to tag along with Karen maybe and just see if I can help out with her, because maybe if there's something she needs someone talk to or called, I can help out with that.
Okay. Well, give me a luck roll.
Okay. That's a pass.
All right. So as she's doing the investigation on Patrick, you kind of get on your phone or your computer and you start looking as well. And you're actually able to come across an article about the disappearance of Nathan Glass.
Oh, great. Look at this, Karen.
I'm sorry, I was a little bit absorbed in my books here. Let me see that.
Here we go.
Some information on the disappearance.
This is interesting. Famed architect Nathan Glass and popular travel author Patrick Riley are currently lost at sea. They're both missing after being scheduled to return from the island of Island Moor 3 days ago. Mr. Glass is a well-known architect, famous for such products as his recreation of William Beckford's Pont Hill Abbey. His most recent project has been the construction of a house for Rayleigh on the island, nicknamed the Glass House. Rayleigh, a travel author known for bringing obscura and esoteric cultures to light, was planning on purchasing the house starting after completion. Both men and 8 additional surveyors traveled to the island to ensure the house met the usual construction specifications and were on the return trip when the boat went missing. Glenn Rose, owner of Rose Construction in Stornoway, was hired to build the house on Island Moor, but did not accompany the surveying trip. I only hope they can be found safe and well, Mr. Rose stated. Wreckage appeared on the western shore of the Isle of Lewis yesterday morning. What has now been confirmed, this is from the boat carrying the surveying crew. Officials have stated it likely is. This is not the first time Eileen Moore has been involved in mysterious disappearances. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished after a long December storm. Despite an extensive search, their bodies were never found and are rumored to haunt the island. Aubrey Glass, wife of Nathan, could not be reached for comment. Readers may recall that the two have been embroiled in a very public divorce that is yet to be finalized. The names of the 6 surveyors missing are Virginia Bell, Naomi Brown, Tiana Cooper, Walter
Davies.
Yeah,
Davies,
it's supposed to be Walter. Sorry.
Thomas James, and Gregory Scott.
Now, just a question to the game master here. When we were speaking, you said that he was building the house for Patrick Raleigh, but did you say there was a connection between Raleigh and his ex-wife?
No.
No.
From what you're able to piece together, Raleigh had hired Nathan to design and build the house.
Right.
Nathan at the time was going through this divorce with Audrey. And because he wanted to basically hide his assets from her so she wouldn't get anything in the divorce, he made a deal with Patrick to fund the entire house. And then after the divorce was over, Patrick would pay him the money for the house, and then he would get this huge windfall. And since it would be after the divorce, he wouldn't have to give any of it to Audrey.
Okay, I understand.
Hmm.
Well, that's
Curiouser
interesting.
and curiouser, cried Alice.
Look at that. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, we've got the names of the other persons who disappeared now.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you want to do any research on them, or should we possibly wait till we get to...
Well, the internet's pretty chock full of information. You're better at it than me, but let's do some more and see if we can find anything else. I have a feeling that surveys. I'm more interested in the fellow that Mr. Rose, the owner of Rose Construction, that he didn't accompany them. So,
Right.
Is there anything on him as well?
Yeah, and if we can find anything on him, we might as well interview him if he's available once we get to where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds
All right,
reasonable.
but yeah, let's look up some information ahead of time. Let's see if
Yep.
we can find anything.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. So while you're doing that, Donald, Orianto, or William, what are you guys doing? I don't want to leave you guys out.
I'd like to phone Yanto.
Yanto.
Hello. It's Donald. Have you got a minute?
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Donald. What can I do for you?
It's just what you said at dinner about this business of the show being cancelled. I'm a wee bit worried about that.
We're all worried about that, of
I mean,
course.
how likely do you think that is? Should I start looking for something else just in case? Or
Donald, how long have you been in this business? This isn't your first. Oh, is it?
No, I've been doing this for 16, 17 years.
Well, most shows, in my experience, go as far as they can go, and then they're cancelled. It's
I appreciate that, but obviously I've been with this show since the beginning, so obviously I've come to sort of,
yes.
I've grown used to the income. It's just that I've got bills to pay, and if I'm going to carry on making ends meet, I need to start sort of putting the feelers out. I mean, I know there's a new Harry Potter that starts filming in October. Harry Potter and the Earwig of Tedium.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
I thought
Yes.
maybe I might be able to get something on that. Maybe.
It's. I think.
Second
Donald,
unit, probably. But,
Donald, you'd like me to be completely honest with you.
I would.
And the fact is that, the show has been suffering a bit over the last season. We were truly, truly hoping that we would get to film in the Tower of London, and that seems to have been postponed. And the fact that they brought then this situation for us, really without consulting us as to what they wanted us to do, it is a sign that the show may be winding down. So I wouldn't recommend.
Is there any way to change that? I mean, do you need me to?
I think we need to do the best.
Creative with the camera work again, like we have before.
Oh well, that certainly wouldn't hurt. I think that we must do the best job that we can possibly do, and not to worry about doomsday. Simply don't let that distract you from doing a good job. You understand?
Well, I'll ask someone. Nothing personal, but just to cover my back, I'll put some feelers out and see if there's a chance of possibly getting a job on Harry Potter and the Cylinder of Boredom or whatever.
Well, I think that's a prudent thing for you to do. It's something that I would myself be looking into myself. As my English flew out the window there for a moment. I think that you should consider also, though, that you are on contract and that you are obliged to stay with us until the very end.
Oh, I mean, obviously.
I think that it would be wise.
I'll see it through, don't you worry.
To have other options in case the hammer falls.
Nay, bother, pal. You've made that quite clear.
I want to tell you, though, that you are quite an excellent cameraman, and we have relied on you a great deal over the years, and that you have, in fact, saved our asses occasionally with your very clever camera work.
Well, don't you worry, pal. Your donkeys are safe with me.
Well, you will have a great recommendation from me, no matter what you do.
It's good to know. Okay.
Is there anything else?
I just wanted to know how things stood. I'm just, I think you've made the situation clear.
Well,
obviously, for now, for the time being, I'll concentrate on what we're doing. I just, in the back of my mind, I just want to make sure that I'm prepared if the worst does come to the worst.
Well, then have a pleasant evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Right on.
Good night.
Patty, bye.
William, what were you doing the whole time?
So I assume I've gone over the budget. It's been probably hours. So at this point, I guess I'm going through the budget line by line and making sure that we can get the equipment. To know all the equipment that we're going to need, I need to know if there's power at the house. So I'm going to call the lawyer.
Okay. You call the lawyer, Valerie Irvine picks up. She says, yes, can I help you?
Hi there, Valerie. This is William Preston. I'm working on behalf of the Other Side television show.
Yes, I remember meeting you this morning.
Yes. I'm currently going over the budget and what equipment we're going to need. Let me ask you, I'll skip that. I'm sure that you've already signed the location waivers with Ianto. So
Yes.
Let's talk about the house. Is there power?
She says, well, I know that there is a generator there. However, I don't believe that you could guarantee that it's working. It's been 7-8 years since somebody has been there, so I don't believe anybody has gone in the house since then.
All right. Nearest hospital. How far is town from the house exactly, or the nearest house for that matter? Is it completely isolated?
Well, you would be on an island that's 20 miles from shore. So no hospital. I write down. No. I mean, I'm sure there's a doctor or something in Stornoway, but there's probably not any major hospitals.
So because it's on an island, I'm also going to guess that there is no one there. There's no neighbors or anything like that. Should we be concerned with locking up the house? To save money, I will suggest, Ianto, that someone stay with the equipment and that the equipment be left out within the house. Do you see any problem with that?
Says, no, I don't see any problem with that whatsoever.
All right. I just don't want the hassle of having to load everything on the grip truck, driving the grip truck onto the ferry, the whole process. It's just going to be a hassle.
She says, well, maybe we, it wasn't made clear that there's no ferry to the island. you'll probably have to rent a fishing boat or something like that to get to the island. And even if there was a ferry, there's no road from the docks to the lighthouse. It's a fairly steep, or from the pictures that I've seen, it's a fairly steep walk up some stairs.
So you've never actually?
No, I haven't. No, I've seen pictures of it from Miss Glass, but I have never been to it.
All right. We'll probably just rent a van or something like that and put it onto the fishing boat and then de-haul it, just drive it up. Let's see. Okay. Let's talk about the town. So we've talked about lodgings. You've already talked with the director about the lodging.
Yes.
How many nights are we good for? Just want to make sure that if we have to overstay, that we put it into the budget.
She says, I honestly don't know. You guys handled all that. You can stay for as long as you want, for all I care.
Awesome. Okay. Now, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask this. Any safety concerns?
Any what?
Any safety concerns? In the house, from the way that the crew was talking, dusty. People haven't been there for very long. Are you sure it's structurally sound? Are you sure that it's maintained? Storms, stuff like that. Is it safe?
She says, well, from a legal perspective, the studios have signed out waivers removing Miss Glass and myself, as well as the realty company, from any damages or issues that may occur. So, while I don't know of any particular safety concerns, I would be obviously, I would recommend, being careful. It's very windy up there. The house has been not abandoned, but not lived in or entered in the last 7 or 8 years. So, I'm sure I don't know what how completed it was after all of this occurred. So you may very well find rooms that are unfinished, or construction materials lying around. And let's face it, nails lying around after 8 years are tending to be probably a little bit rusty.
Of course. And I'm just asking simply because I need to know if we need to have someone on set. But I think we'll be fine with just the standard first aid kit.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Mr. Preston, speaking as a lawyer, I would not really be worried too much. It's an island literally in the middle of the ocean. Except for the wind, maybe tripping over a rock is going to be your biggest worry.
Of course. Is it possible for me to get in touch with the realtor? I know that the house is currently going to be on the market. So I just want to contact the realtor because, if she was actually in the house, she can kind of tell me which rooms not to go in and which rooms that we should specifically film in.
She says, sure, but I'll be honest with you. Nobody has, not even Ms. Glass or the realtor, has been over into the house.
Really?
When I say nobody has been there in 8 years, nobody has gone in 8 years. Ms. Glass refuses to go in because of the issues that she's had. And I believe the realtor has not yet had a chance to go up there yet.
All right. I kind of nod with the phone person. I say, all right, I guess me and Ianto will have to location scout when we get there. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been incredibly helpful, actually. I'll call you if I have any other concerns. Do you mind also, this may be a breach of professionality, but is it possible for me to get Miss Gloss's information as well? I'd like to call her if there is anything wrong with the house.
She says, absolutely. And she gives you her number. And she says, actually, I will be starting tomorrow. I am going on vacation. So I will not be able to, you won't be able to be reached. I'm sorry, you won't be able to reach me. in addition to that, my partner will be in New York as well, so he will not be able to be reached. So Miss Gloss is probably going to be your best bet.
All right. Well, I will contact her if I have any questions. All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely, you too.
And I hang up. I throw the phone down on the table and I say, "Well, that was unhelpful." And I cross it, and I cross everything off the list. And I say, "All right, I'm going to call Ianto now. Bring Ianto."
Yanto.
Ianto, it's William. So I just got done talking with the lawyer. I've gone over some of the basic stuff, how far we can pull power, if there's a possibility of us getting generators out there. Both of those seem pretty much impossible. It looks like we're going to have to do battery-powered LEDs. We're going to have to charge up at least 3 power bricks for the camera before we head out there. It's a mess. No one's been there for 8 years, apparently.
Yes, that's what she said. Apparently, though, some of our researchers have discovered that the house itself is built as a form of a generator. There's a kind of a windmill thing upon the roof, which supplies the house with electrical power. If that is still in operation, that might not be a problem. It might be something that we should do when we get there to see what we're going to need.
I was actually going to bring that up. I suggest you and I head out maybe a day early. We can at least make sure that lodging is there for the crew so that when their call time for the show begins, yeah, they're actually there and they actually have lodging. But my main concern is getting to the island. We're going to need to procure a fishing boat, and also I think we should location scout. If no one's been here for 8 years, we don't know what kind of hazards we're putting the crew in.
I see. That's not a bad idea. I've myself have done a little bit of research and tried to find out all that stuff. There's a number of fishing boats, perhaps, that can travel us across. Yes, if you don't mind traveling business class.
Oh, that's fine. I can book right now, actually.
Good. Yes. Please take the. I suppose that's a good enough opportunity. I will inform the others that we will be leaving a day early tomorrow. What time?
Yes, I think we should leave probably around 10. It should take about 2-3 hours to get there. So we should show up there by early afternoon.
Well, you have the. I assume you're on your computer.
Yes, I am. I wonder how far it would actually be. All right. Flights from London. Oh, here we go.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to. I will have to rent a car when you're there.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty close. Okay. Yeah, it's only, how long? Yeah, it's only 3.5 hours. Okay. So yeah, no problem. We can easily do that. We'll start, we'll meet up at 10, and it's, like I said, you and me will head up early. We'll make sure everything's locked down. We'll make sure we have all the hazards. And then when the crew arrives, we will know exactly what we're dealing with. I don't want the crew going in blind. I especially don't think you want the crew going in blind, Mr. Budget Guy. And I hit the computer screen with my pen.
Of course. Though I've been told that there's probably not much there but a few rocks. But we'll check it out for them, yes.
Better to be safe than sorry, in my professional viewpoint.
Well, good night, and have a pleasant evening.
Yes, it's about to be my dinner time, actually.
Yes, I forgot. You eat at 11, precisely.
Well, not precisely, but I try.
Not precisely. I see.
Just after 11.
A little bit of leeway in there for you. Then.
Well, yeah, steak and spinach after 11. Yeah.
A good choice. All right, good evening.
All right. Good night. And I hang up.
All right.
And that's me done.
Okay. So you're usually so if I understand right, you're leaving a day early in the morning or early afternoon to head up there just to get everything set up that you want.
Yeah, I want to make sure that everything is ready so that the crew feels at least comfortable. I don't know how the set works, but I'm kind of like I'm spinning the wheels.
Okay, so
Spinning those wheels.
And I, of course, call everybody and tell them what the plans are.
okay, all right. Easily, not a problem. So given the fact that everybody will be leaving in the morning, if I heard right, Karen and Irene were doing some additional research, some last minute stuff on the lighthouse. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit of last minute stuff on the lighthouse.
Okay. You're able to find out not much information outside of what you've already found. You did find, you found the original article on the lighthouse about the three lighthouse keepers who disappeared. Actually, both of you give me a library use roll, just for one last search.
Not this time.
Nope, me neither.
Okay. It's typical lighthouse size. It's about 80 feet tall. Like you previously found, it's fully automated, has been so since the 80s. Beyond that, you really don't find too much else on it.
Well, Irene, we can always look it up online when we get there, see if we can find anything that way.
Okay.
Okay. Then any other final things that anybody wants to do before you, the next day when you get on a plane?
Aside from pack, no.
Could I make a call? Do I have a friend over there? I get a little nervous when I can't. Never mind. They have issues over there with firearms, don't they?
Well, you're already over in England.
Over there now. Okay, I'm losing track. Okay. I can't.
Well, then I'm assuming we all have the proper permits because I would have had my gun on me as well. I mean, I've been attacked in the past, and I'm not going to deal with it again.
Well, you can own rifles and shotguns, but handguns are illegal.
All right.
Yeah.
So no handgun for me.
All good.
Okay. So the next morning, you all get on the plane. You have your equipment with you, whichever equipment that you're planning on taking, the stuff that you've already listed, plus anything else that would make sense for you to have. You get on a plane. It's a fairly short ride from London to Stornoway, and you land and find that Stornoway is a fairly small, medium-sized town. As soon as you get off the plane, you can see advertisements for a whiskey distillery that's just been built and a golf course, which apparently is having some type of golf tournament this weekend. And you make your way to your hotels or whatever you're going to do for the first day. William was going to start scouting things. And assume somebody will be renting a van or a car for you guys, because Stornoway, again, is not your final destination. Stornoway is kind of like on the east side of the country, whereas Carloway, which is where you'll go where the hotel is on the west side. It's about a hour drive or so. But with that, I think we're at a good stopping point.
Okay. Cool. We'll stop there then. Cool. Very interesting game so far. All right. Our players included Jerry Bryant, Jen Coulter, Sean Little, Thomas McKeon, Mick Swan, and myself, with Tyler Hudak as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. Patrons of our show can now enjoy recordings of our pre- and post-game conversations. Some of the most interesting stuff occurs before and after the show. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month will help us a lot. You may have heard that Dustin from Chaosium, he was one of the folks that was made homeless by Hurricane Harvey. A friend of his has set up a GoFundMe page to help with his expenses. And if you'd like to help him out a little bit, I'm going to post a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Till next time, good luck and good gaming.